Welcome to the lead4ward Q&A, Questions and Actions, grades 3 through 8. How do we make sense of the data that we receive from STAAR for grades 3 through 8 for this past school year? My name is Urban Knizik. I'm the president of lead4ward. Welcome to this video. Some of you may have felt like this. I know I certainly did. And we had a burning question. How do we know which of our kids passed when we don't even have a performance standard set yet? Well, there's some good news there. What do we know about STAAR in grades 3 through 8? Well, we know two things. We've got data. The first data piece that we have are the raw scores. We know the number of items a student got correct, and we can convert that to a percentage. When we do that, we can identify which of our students we know for sure are going to need support. For example, if a student got 20% of the items correct, I'm almost sure that student is going to need support. If a student got over 80, 90% of the items, that student may have some gaps, but that student did fairly well. So we have raw scores. We also have reporting category and student expectation level data. Well, this gives us a little more specific look at instructional growth areas. Now, some folks want to just jam that square peg into a round hole and say, well, let's just look at the EOC data from which there's a standard set and just apply that for grades 3 through 8. We could certainly do that, but we would be missing a very, very rich instructional discussion. So let's take advantage of not having a standard this year. Let's use an approach that I call quintiles and common sense. Quintiles simply means dividing our students into 5 equal groups, organized from the lowest performing students to the highest performing students. And then let's apply our common sense. We as educators have a really strong sense of which of our students are struggling and which are doing really well. Let's have an instructional conversation about them using the data from this year's administration of STAAR. When you go to the lead4ward website and click on STAAR Resources, there is a quintile worksheet there for you. This short video is not intended to be a full tutorial on how to use this worksheet. However, that will be available to you. The quintile worksheet looks a little bit like this. You input the grade level, the content area, the total number of questions on the test, and then you put the total number of students on your campus that were scored for that content area. Then the spreadsheet will do a little bit of the work for you. It'll tell you how many students should be in each group, and then you tell the highest score, raw score, for each of the students in each of the quintiles. That will calculate into a percentage. Now, what do we do with that though? Well, there's a lot we can do. But for the sake of this very short video, let's just talk about the students in 2 groups. Our lowest performing group in quintile 1, and then our highest performing group in quintile 5. Now let's just look at this group really quickly. We see in this very small sample of students that most of them got 20 to 30% of items correct. We know that these students did not do well and probably don't even need any raw score to tell us that. So as I'm looking at this group of students this year, in all likelihood, they won't meet the STAAR performance standard when it's released, but more importantly, I know that this group of students needs intervention this upcoming school year. Now let's go to the other end of the spectrum. How about the students in quintile 5? These are the highest performing students on my campus. Now for most of your campuses, I would expect that top student would score 100%, but not at this campus. Now, when I'm looking at that, most of these students are likely to pass once we know what the passing standard is for grades 3 through 8. But what's more important than that, even if these students pass, they have some instructional gaps. So we can use the data to find out what those gaps are and how we can adapt our practices to meet these students' needs. This short video on grades 3 through 8 is intended to provide a starter set for some thinking around how to handle the data that's presented from STAAR. Please give us a look on the website for more tools, more resources, and a further discussion about how you can use quintiles and common sense to make sense of grades 3 through 8 data. Thank you and have a great year.